Welcome everyone to our Prenatal Wellness Talks. Today we're joined by Christina Warmenbol to explore the role of maternal mindset during pregnancy and how a mother's emotional and mental state can influence both her own well-being and her baby's early development. Christina, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Suzanne, to invite me here. Thank you.
It is our pleasure. So, to begin with, could you please just introduce yourself? Tell our audience about what you do. What is your passion? What is your work?
Yeah, so about speaking about my passion has been for more than 35 years to cater to pregnant women. I started out as an occupational therapist, but in fact, I wanted to work more preventively in order to avoid, problems in later life, because I had seen already that there was so much a connection between what we experience before birth and what comes after. And so I became a childbirth educator avant la lettre in Belgium. That means they didn't exist at that time. I developed certain courses with naturopathy and energy healing and auto hypnosis, and I put everything together also with music. So I sorry, part of the course that I gave to pregnant women was working with singing, prenatal singing. And then I developed also other, let's say, other modalities. So a therapy of intrauterine life to bring people back to the prenatal period and restore what had been programmed there in the negative way to make that a positive resource. And that's wonderful because it gave me the possibility for myself to dive in all these aspects of the prenatal period and how it had formed myself. And so from, conception and even before conception, all throughout in these 9 months and then birth and the early months even of the baby. So that was extremely interesting. And so finally, I went on also to work with other modalities. So, for instance, to clear cell memory, to go to the emotional roots of an illness or a problem, because it's all stored in our body. We can all find that ourselves. So I guide people to find that and to come to a solution. I work also with Akashic Record readings, but recently I became also a prenatal coach, prenatal and parenting coach. So based on the mindset, like to help pregnant women to train them. In fact, they're invited to like a 7-week course where they are really trained in picking up their own attention, their own awareness, and to shifting it to the positive, because that gives you yourself so much more chances to realize the real dream that you had, the real goal that you have in general. So we'll talk about that later, I guess. So
Yes, yes, definitely. Because when we are talking about pregnancy, we're talking about the experience of the mother, but we're also talking about the experience of the baby. And what can you tell us about the awareness of the baby during pregnancy? What kind of experience can a baby have in the womb?
yeah, so wow, it is very interesting. Let's say um, what is very important, of course, the baby knows, the fetus or the embryo, still very small, knows if they are welcome or not, if they are loved or not. And if there is maybe an ambivalence, like the mother would like to have that child, but in fact, there are some restrictions, there is some stress around it. So the baby feels, okay, there is love from my mother to me, but there are other circumstances that hold her back of being really there for me. So, and that creates kind of like the feeling of self-worth, if the baby doesn't feel really completely welcome and completely loved, there is something missing there in their self-worth, and that you take with you for your whole life, struggling with it, trying to get ahead of it. And in fact, it's so important to go and meet that where it started in the beginning, in the womb. And so other things are happening there too. If the mother doesn't really connect to her own emotions, for instance, because she's very focused on all the things that she's doing, never really taking the time for herself. So she's not connected to her emotions. So the baby also she's not connected with the baby then. And if the baby comes into that environment, he macerates, like, to use the words of Anna Verwaal, the baby macerates in the emotional field of the mother. And if there is no real special attention to the baby, no real special I connect with you, I welcome you, I love you, I'm so happy that you're here, then the baby feels alienated, and like, what am I doing here? Like, it seems that I'm not really at my place. So yeah, that develops then this feeling of yeah, being worthless also. Like, it's so important for the baby to feel connected, to feel respected, to feel recognized. And yeah, other things can happen too, of course, if the mother just thinks about abortion. That is already so devastating for the child. Even if it afterwards she shifts that, and that's of course beautiful if that can happen. But the first imprint is, I'm not at the right place here. I didn't come at the right moment. If there are like struggles also in the during the pregnancy, like conflicts with the husband, maybe, or conflicts with other people, some stress, or long-term stress especially, is very, very bad for the development of the baby, for his nervous system, because the baby develops the nervous system according to the atmosphere in the womb, the atmosphere of the situation in the womb. And if there is lots of cortisol, like the hormone that the mother creates when she's in stress, that cortisol is also going to act on in the baby, and that's going to bring that nervous system to high alert. And so it will be simply the basic functioning of the nervous system of the baby will be high alert. And that means after birth, these babies will be hard to calm down. For instance, there might be difficulties with feeding or with sleeping, and difficulties with attention later on in the learning. When the baby, like the child, goes to school, difficulties with attention, because there is no possibility to really calm down completely. And so of course, life is life. I mean, so many things happen in also during pregnancy, and so it all depends on how the mother deals with what's going on in her life. Another thing that also can be very deeply programming, is when there has been a twin, like in the total beginning of the pregnancy. And this happens way more than we think. There is like a conservative percentage of 30 to 40%. But it's difficult to really know if that has been happening, because with an ultrasound you cannot really see that. It is too early in the pregnancy, but the embryo knows it. That there is like a little friend there with me, or little brother, little sister, and that gives like a feeling of coziness and support and warmth and connection, relationship that already builds. And when all of a sudden this the other twin doesn't survive, it is a big deal for the one that is surviving, because they might develop like a kind of psychological state of guilt. Even if they're not really thinking, we are now, there is this unconscious awareness of maybe I was taking too much food through the umbilical cord, all these kinds of things. I think I'm the origin of the passing on of the other one, and that creates a basic guilt that will also be programmed for the rest of your life if you don't just become aware of it and change it.
There is a lot of research done in pre and perinatal psychology that actually studies how the pregnancy was and what was the outcomes, how was the environment of the baby in terms of what was the environment that the mothers lived, and then what was the outcome later on the life of that baby that then became a child and the adult and so on. So you told me in the beginning that it's very important to have a positive mindset during pregnancy, and that it's important both for mother but also for the baby and for his development or her development. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so a positive mindset is important for everybody for sure, because it creates possibilities to really realize how would you would like to be, like, in relationships, towards yourself, in life, regarding health, etc. So if you are just influenced by everything that comes to you, and it drains you, what does it do? Well, you don't have the energy anymore to pick things up and to change it. Or you start, turning all these negative thoughts and feelings inside of you, and that creates a lot of stress, a lot of feeling inadequate, doubting yourself, all these things. So they have an enormous impact on for the mother, for sure. And of course, there are many, many reasons. As I said, like, life can be not easy. And so what is the effect on, yeah, for the mother, for sure? If the mother is not really happy, if the mother is not really relaxed and uh, trusting and confident in life, well, the baby will feel the same thing. So if the mother is depressive, for instance, or anxious, the baby will just take over that state of consciousness. And later in life, he might be overwhelmed by a state of depression and anxiety still going on, till the moment that he discovers that, in fact, I was carrying the suitcase of my mother, and I can just let go of that. So the mother is really, with her inner state of mind, she is creating the the very positive possibilities for the baby to really develop in the best possible way, develop not just his nervous system and his psyche, but also all the systems in the body. So, for instance, if the mother is experiencing a long-term period of stress, it's not about like a day or two, little bit of conflict or here and there, but it's a long-term stress. At that moment, for instance, if the heart is being developed, that heart in the baby might be not of the highest possible quality. I mean, it might not be in the best heightened state of health. And the same thing with all the other organs and systems. So it depends on the moment, the timing during the pregnancy, when these things will have an effect on the baby. But for sure, the mother is also creating the physical body. So it is also important that she is, that she's aware of her own inner state, and that
And
she
another
can
thing
trust
that we
this.
know is that the baby through the placenta is also sending signals. It's also sending hormonal signals, biological signals to the mother, trying to stabilize the mother. So the baby is actually cheering up to have an optimal development. So it's a connection. It's an exchange between mother and baby.
That's very right, yeah, and that's so beautiful to know that there is like a back and forth. It's not just from the mother to the baby, but also the baby towards the mother. There are indeed studies that say that if the liver of the mother doesn't work really well, the liver of the baby is gonna try to compensate for that. And yeah, so absolutely. So that's really very beautiful. And also psychically, I must say, from my own experience, because maybe or maybe not, but I lost my husband when I was pregnant. And of course, that is not the most happy circumstance that you can imagine. And of course, even if I had a background in spirituality since a long time, there were moments that of course, I was crying. But it never really lasted a long time. It never lasted longer than 5 to 10 minutes, maybe, because I felt like an influx of energy, like a fountain of energy in my body that I could not continue to cry. There was like really like an effect of pulling me up from, what the cosmic influences, light beings with me, the soul working on me in some way. So you see that I was really surprised to feel that, and was very grateful for the help that I had in that way.
What can be simple practices or tools that pregnant women can use to shift a negative state or negative thoughts into a more supportive mindset? Because we are here talking about, anxiety or other issues, but that can influence the baby. But there are tools, there are things that mothers can do that actually help them to heal, to activate the healing potential that we all have.
Yeah, that's right. And so we talked about depression and anxiety, which are really very strong negative elements, but there are also, irritation or frustration. These little things also are very draining if we just let them go on. And so, what is the first thing? It is awareness, just a consciousness of pulling our attention from the outside world to inside, and really saying in the morning, like, I'm gonna try to be alert to what I'm feeling, like aware what I'm experiencing, and then trying to find out, to discern, is this feeling helping me or it's draining me. So, and if it is draining me, then there are many ways, like for instance, just breathing consciously, just taking the time to come to this state of calmness inside, even if it's just a few seconds, but that can already shift your attention to inside and to a resource, because we are constantly receiving energy from the cosmos. So why not just taking the time to remind ourselves, yes, that's right, there is this energy that comes to me, that feeds me all the time. Maybe just even feeling your body standing or sitting where it's sitting, like to feel the weight of the body in the chair, all that, just a few seconds, and already, wow, there is a shift. Or it can be just having your eyes open for everything that is beautiful, like even if it's like a little flower peeking through to rocks, like for instance, or hearing a bird singing or the sun shining, being grateful for the beautiful gifts that that we receive all the time. That is so healing and so powerful in shifting our mindset.
Christina,
Yeah.
do you want to talk us a little bit about your book, Soul Journey to the Earth?
Yeah, it
Tell
was
us,
you.
yeah, tell us why did you wrote that book? What is the book all about?
Yeah.
I must suspect that it was an adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, in fact, when I lost my husband, this was not an easy process to go through, especially when you're pregnant. And yeah, so somebody asked me, said to me, you should write about that, how you went through that grief process. And, of course, that was asked to me when my baby was already born, like he was 2, 3 years old. And, of course, you don't have the time to sit to sit still and try to write whatever came up. But so only 15 years later, then I remember that, and I said, okay, maybe this time I'm gonna write about it, but just about this process, because it was a whole adventure with my husband, having gone through an accident in nature with all the search and rescue. I didn't want to go into all the details, but the essence of how I came um, to go to grow through that grief process. And so it started with that, but then I said, in fact, how I have learned to deal with that, for me it was related to past lives. and I had remembered past lives before all that happening, and so that helped me a lot because it made me understand what I needed to learn now and what I needed to develop. And so then I said, if I have to write about past lives, I have to write about the soul. And so, what is the soul exactly? You know, there is so much confusion about that. So, there's a whole big part in the book about the soul, and yeah, to learn a little bit more about it, and also how I use the soul in my modalities, in my healing modalities, because we always look from a higher point of view to the problem, which is a quicker way to integrate and to extract the quintessence of an experience. And then another part is how to prepare to receive a soul in our bodies. Like, you know, if there is a child wanting to incarnate, how can we prepare before conception, and what can we do to make it a very positive experience during these 9 months? So that's about it. So that's a lot of information in that book, but it was a beautiful experience to write about that. Of
We
course,
will
yeah,
we
for
will
sure.
have the link for your book on the description of this interview. I would like
Thank you.
to
Thank
finally ask you if you have, any piece of advice. I know that it has been a long time since you were pregnant, but now for pregnant couples, for families that are listening today, or even for professionals, what would you like them to remember?
Well, you know, a pregnant woman is so precious because she is the start of a new humanity, like one child at a time. So we have to really be so caring with everything we can possibly do for a pregnant woman, so that she feels happy, that she feels supported and cared for. And so for the pregnant mother, I would say, you know, connecting with the baby is so important regularly, like taking, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, you know, if that's all you can do, that's wonderful. To listen to music, to be inspired as much as possible, and to, yeah, to give some messages to the baby and listen also what the baby would like to tell you, maybe what it needs from special food, maybe, or special activities, and to, yeah, to listen to that. I mean, to really take that seriously, because it is, this connection with the soul is, it can be so empowering and so beautiful. And so, yeah, I would say, you know, really, you know, we should as a society do whatever we can to make a pregnant woman feel safe, respected, cared for, and loved. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Christina, for being with us today. Lovely talk.
It- Thank you,
Thank you.
Susanna. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
having me.